Hola a todos, bienvenidos a mi historia de una de las fiestas mexicanas más queridas, el Cinco de Mayo. Or, hello everyone, welcome to my history of one of the most beloved Mexican holidays, Cinco de Mayo. Actually, this is my second time making a history on it, but we won't talk about the first time I did. If I ask a standard American, or just a standard person in general, why it is celebrated and is not a Mexican, then I might get a strange answer. Cinco de Mayo is the day when Mexicans down in Mexico celebrate the Mexican holiday Cinco de Mayo, which is celebrated by Mexicans who do whatever it is that Mexicans in Mexico do for Mexican holidays. Yeah, well, if you don't have any idea why Cinco de Mayo is celebrated, or what the heck it is, or where it came from, I can help with that. And with that, here is my history of Cinco de Mayo. In order for anything to make sense, I'll have to backtrack a few centuries to give some context. In February of 1519, famed Spanish conquistador, or conqueror, if you aren't a Spanish nerd like me, Hernan Cortez, landed in what is now the Mexican state of Tabasco. Yes, the hot sauce comes from here. Hernan Cortez then went up to the locals on the beach and was like, "Yo, so the Spanish king and queen sent me here to give them that stuff that turns your skin green and a lot of slaves. Also, do you have any advice for me and my army on who I should brutally conquer? The peaceful Aztecs in central Mexico? Alright." And so, by 2 years later, in 1521, Hernan Cortez had already brutally invaded and conquered the Aztec Empire, as well as the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, which was built on a lake, and hence causes the modern city in its place, Mexico City, to sink by 2 centimeters a year. For more info on this whole event, I recommend you watch my History of Mexico if you would like. I go into way more detail there. Anyways, after the Aztec Empire fell, Hernan Cortez founded the gigantic territory, New Spain, under the Spanish Empire. Literally almost nothing happened regarding Cinco de Mayo's origins for the next 300 years, almost exactly. From September 16th, 1810 to September 27th, 1821, after the demonstrations led by priest Don Miguel Gregorio Antonio Francisco Ignacio Hidalgo Castilla Igalaga Mandari Villaseñor, or just Miguel Hidalgo, the Mexican War of Independence began. By the time it ended in 1821, a little more than 500,000 people were dead. Nonetheless, the Mexican rebels won, allowing for Mexico to gain independence from Spain as the first Mexican empire led by Emperor Augustine I. However, after he designed the flag of the first Mexican empire, which looks like this, the Mexicans deposed Augustine and later on executed him on July 19th, 1824, ending the first Mexican empire. Then came the provisional government of Mexico, the first Mexican Republic, the Centralist Mexican Republic, and the Second Mexican Republic, which is where our story continues. Oh, and yes, in case you're wondering, all of those flags were different, and all those flags were used. Literally went through that many flags in not even half a century. Can you imagine being a child being forced to memorize all of those flags and what they stood for? Yeah, no thank you. On January 15th, 1858, Benito Juarez became the 26th president of Mexico. Mexico, however, was not in such a good state. Mexico was broke. And by broke, I mean broke. Like GameStop and Pier 1 imports broke. Wonder why? Because Mexico missed tax day, more like tax decade, for the rich European powers, mainly England, Spain, and France. And so, the three nations sent their navies to the state of Veracruz to say something like, pay or die. And Juarez negotiated with England and Spain, eventually eliminating debt with them. However, France wouldn't be so easy for Mexico. The French Emperor Napoleon, nope, not that one, no, certainly not that one, there, Napoleon III, became hostile towards Mexico, demanding money, because they were also broke. When Mexico couldn't pay France once again, that was the last straw for Napoleon III. In 1861, Emperor Napoleon III deployed a large group of his navy to try and take control of part of Mexico, or better yet for him, the entire thing. Later that year, they arrived off the coast of what is now the state of Veracruz, you already know where it is, where they began harassing President Juarez, because he was there. Benito Juarez and his small army then scurried away, making Napoleon III smug, as he thought the Mexicans were weak Spanish things. However, Juarez returned to the French. What ensued was the famous Battle of Puebla. On this day, May 5th, 159 years ago in 1862. In it, the 6,000 French soldiers, General Ferdinand de Gil Conde Francais, fought the measly 500 soldiers of Mexican General Ignacio Zaragoza. Let me just say that his 500 soldiers were farmers a week earlier. Surprise, surprise, Napoleon III, General Zaragoza and his 500 men defeated your elite army. 83 Mexicans and about 450 French soldiers died. After shockingly defeating France, celebrations rung out across Mexico. Some of those celebrations included the execution of Napoleon III's puppet Emperor of Mexico, Emperor Maximilian I. Fun stuff. Ever since the victory at the decisive Battle of Puebla on the 5th of May, or Cinco de Mayo in Spanish, it has been celebrated as the day the Mexicans defeated the French at the Battle of Puebla, and hence why this doesn't happen. Ooh, we're some totally non-cultural appropriating American tourists in Mexico. How about we speak to the locals? Hello, locals. And then the locals say, "Que diable êtes-vous, fate ici?" Anyways, since 1862, Cinco de Mayo has been celebrated in various means, including parades, music performances, usually mariachis, dancing, fine dining, and thinking of how French sounds like a stroke in a language. Also, on Cinco de Mayo in Mexico are reenactments of the Battle of Puebla, in which the Mexicans win, usually with real guns sometimes, and decorating the town of Puebla, where Cinco de Mayo is mainly celebrated, as the battle did kind of happen there. And with that was my history of the holiday of Cinco de Mayo. Yes, if France won that battle, Mexico would speak French and likely have it as an official language today. Crazy, right? That would be so hard to get used to. I hope you enjoy this video. As for what is coming up next, my next video will be my second top 10 video. This time on the top 10 most influential Asians and Pacific Islanders in history, in time for Asian and Pacific Islander History Month, May, coming out on May 8th. Thanks for watching. Happy Cinco de Mayo.